You are listening to the Julie Parker Practice Success Podcast, where you discover management insights and strategies for your successful dental practice. There are also interviews with key people in the industry who have advice and services to help you and your team achieve great success. Welcome to this episode of the Julie Parker Practice Success Podcast. And I've got the magnificent Cate Scolnik. Have I pronounced that correctly?
Yes, you have. I often tell people, just imagine you've got a friend called Nick and that I'm cold. Cate's cold, Nick.
That's very good. That's very good. And Cate is joining us from Sane social media, and we connected over LinkedIn, and you work with dental teams on how to help them to be more successful. So tell us a little bit about yourself and Sane social media, Cate.
So Sane social media kind of came about by accident. Like all good businesses, and through a failed previous business. So I became a life coach like just about everybody else on the planet. And in doing that, I had the opportunity to work with a dental business coach here in Canberra. And so I went, okay, this is a great opportunity. I'll just treat this a bit like an apprenticeship, work a couple of days a week for them and learn how a successful coaching business operates and how it works. And along the way, I just ended up ghostwriting all of their blogs and doing all their social media organically. And then they would have people calling them saying, hey, we've read your blogs, we've seen your social, we know you can help us. Where do we sign? And he would also have people calling saying, who does your social? Who writes your content? Because, we need someone good. So at the end of the day, I had started building this life coaching business called How to Train Your Children. And I had, loyal subscribers who would write back to me each week when I emailed them saying, oh, I don't know how you read my mind, all this sort of stuff. And then I had people asking me for social media and blogging and all this sort of thing. So I just went, you know what, I'm trying to sell this one, but I'm getting people asking for that one. I just want to help people, so let's help them in a different way. So, yeah, and I learned about APRA and the challenges with that, which, of course, is an extra dimension for anyone in this industry.
Yeah, that's it. And I think a lot of dental practices are more fearful around the APRA, or not fearful, but more that they are more careful than what they necessarily need to be within APRA. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. And so who you're helping at the moment, is it just dental? Is it all medical?
Look, I do help pretty much all healthcare providers and some course creators and coaches, but really trying to specialise in the dental because we're getting such great results for them. I mean, really just stellar results. Like, for example, we have a fairly new dental practice here in Canberra. We're currently recording this beginning of February. They have been around for less than 12 months. Last month, we got them over 50 new patients. The first month we worked with them, we got them over 27 new patients. That's not leads, it's new patients.
People booked in that schedule.
Yeah, and we're getting up.
So is that all from social media? That's not from SEO or AdWords or anything like that. That's just from their social media presence.
Yep, and they had tried a number of other people to do social media ads, didn't get the great results, didn't get the same sort of results. And they also found there was a lot of pressure on the staff to do a lot of activities, whereas I really specialise in going, okay, let's talk to the practice manager. What are their challenges? How can we include that in our streamlined automation system so that all they have to do is make maybe 1-2 phone calls to the person going, hey, do you have any questions? Because we send out a voicemail drop, we send out SMS and a series of emails so people know what's going on, and the practice manager or the receptionist doesn't have to do any of that heavy lifting. So we can just sort of...
And that's a very good thing because, number one, I've worked in dental practices my whole career, and we don't always have the time to do it, but we also don't have the expertise either. And so it is a wonderful thing to delegate out. There's no question about it. And it's interesting, this conversation that we're having with the impact of social media, and even if you're boosting and paying for ads on social media, the cost of that can be as small as you kind of want it to be. And when you compare that to SEO and Google AdWords and things, and we're talking hundreds or thousands of dollars every month that practices are spending. And I had this discussion with somebody just yesterday. Can not the same result, but can a substantially effective result be achieved just focusing on social media for a period of time? So I'm loving having this conversation with you, because I imagine that you say, yes, we've got somebody 50 new patients in their book just from social media.
Yes. Yep. Just from social media. So I've got several businesses that are not ranking with SEO, not doing Google AdWords, just doing social media. Some are denture clinics. Now, we're not getting quite as many as 50 new patients for denture clinics, but that sort of depends a little bit on where they're located. We have some regional people, like we have a clinic in Katoomba, and we brought in for the first month. That's a regional clinic, but it's quite well established. So the first month we brought in nearly 70 new patients for them. So, and we're not talking about thousands and thousands of dollars in ad spend. So our lead conversion is often, the industry lead conversion is 11%. So normally 1 in 10 sort of leads for Facebook ads. This is what I've found with my research. Now, for us, with the system that we have, because we know dental practice managers and receptionists are busy and they may not get to call the leads immediately, or a lead might come in Friday evening, the clinic might be closed until Monday morning, so we need to keep that lead sort of warm and warm them up over that time. So this is why we have a series of things that go out that are friendly and helpful, and do things like introduce them to the receptionist with a photograph. You might see my smiley face on reception when you come in, that kind of thing. So by the time someone calls them 3 days later, they're not going to say, oh, I never opted into that. Okay. So we have all of this automation happening, which is designed to be, look, it's automation, but I have to say I have veered away from automation a lot, because a lot of the time it can be so terrible. But it's just like anything. You can get a blog that is awesome that you cannot stop reading, and you can get a blog that is so dreary you don't want to have to make yourself. And the same with automation. So if we can make it elegant, if we can make it personal, we also do things like reactivation campaigns. Now, reactivation campaigns, as you probably know, the best way to do that is to be personal, and even to have the file in front of you and phone up and say, hey, Julie, last time you came in and saw Dr. So-and-so, remember there was a shadow on that back tooth and we're a bit concerned about this. I don't want you to be in pain. Now, that's high touch. It's a lot of it, and that works really well. But we can do it automatically in that we can say things like, send an SMS. Hey, Julie, your dentist and I, so Dr. So-and-so and I, were just discussing you, just thinking of you the other day, and we realised that you hadn't been in for over 6 months. We'd love to see your smiley face in the clinic. Here's a link to our online booking system so you can pick a time that works for you. So that's still personalised, and we can even do things like, we know that you're with HCF or whatever sort of private health insurance. You probably know that most health benefits click over in January, so now's a great time to have a checkup and clean with your new health benefits. So we can kind of personalise that, not quite down to, I wouldn't do it down to, what we've seen in their dental history, but we can certainly personalise it, and we can get great results with that too.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. There is always the most ideal way, which is probably going to be the most time-intensive, energy-intensive, cost-intensive way of doing things, and it'll be the most successful as well. However, if you don't have the time to commit to that, the resources to commit to that, then you end up doing nothing. Yeah. So you've got to start coming back from the ideal to do what's actually you're able to implement consistently, so you can get some kind of great result.
Yep. And this is just so much better than just a general SMS that goes out to everyone who hasn't been in for over 6 months going, hey, we haven't seen you for a while, book here. Like, at least it's going, hey, Julie, your dentist and I were having a chat the other day and we realised we hadn't seen you. So it does sound much more like I've handpicked you and I've written a personalised SMS to you. Last time we did that, we had so many people booking in for checkups and cleans that some of the dentists had to busy themselves out and say, I'm not taking any more checkups and cleans at the moment.
That's what you want. You want to oversupply. So I want to go step by step all the way through so I really understand the process. But first of all, with the social media, what channels are you talking about? Facebook, Instagram?
Usually Facebook and Instagram. We can put stuff on TikTok and things. TikTok is kind of a different platform in that you've got to be a bit careful about how you're attracting people, what area you're attracting and what links they can access, because there's not sort of so much capacity to DM people and all that sort of thing. So we usually just do Facebook and or Instagram.
Okay. And then when if a practice said, I want to jump on top of this, I'm spending a lot of money on my SEO and Google AdWords and I want to see if I can pull that back at the moment. What is the process? Do they provide you access to their dental software to get how are you targeting people? So I know there's probably a few different ways depending on what you want to do. Yeah.
At the moment, we're not integrating with dental software because we have the capacity to do that, but it can be quite an investment. And everyone has so many different pieces of software. So we do, because also that software, some brands, their API or their sort of technical side of things is so locked down because of the security for patients. We want to be mindful of that. So often what we do is we work with the clinic. We have a special system that actually streamlines just about everything else. So it can do two-way SMS, where a lot of clinic software can only do a mailer SMS. Can't necessarily do two-way SMS, can't necessarily always do two-way email. So in our system, you can do two-way SMS, two-way email, and manage all your conversations in all your social media platforms too, in one stream. So they can also use the system for posting if they want to, for scheduling and posting on platforms. We can put a web chat on their website to gather more information from people. Hey, you've got a question, give us your email address and mobile and put your question here and we'll get back to you. So we can do all of that and more in this system, which I'm just in love with.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Since I discovered that a few months ago, it's just like, oh my God, it replaces about a dozen different things that I was cobbling together with Zapier, and it's just awesome.
Wonderful.
So we integrate it with Facebook, we integrate it with the Facebook ads, and we can build these automations that say things like, okay, as soon as a lead comes in, let's send them a voicemail saying, hey, it's Julie from practice such and such. Thanks for expressing interest in our offer. Cate, our receptionist, will be in touch with you shortly with some more information. And then 2 minutes later, we can send them an SMS saying, hey, it's Cate from Dental Such and Such. Thanks for opting into this great offer. This is briefly what the offer was, reiterating it. The next step is for you to book online. Here's the link. Just choose new patient checkup and clean. So we very much hand feed them. We give them the link and then we give them that. We say, I'll drop you an email with more information. A few minutes later, we send them an email saying, thanks for opting in. Here's a bit more information. The offer includes this stuff. The next step is to book online. I will give you a call to check if you've got any questions. So then we usually send them another email the next day saying, oh, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Cate, and here's a picture of me. When you come into the clinic, you'll see my smiley face. And then we put a bit of information about what differentiates the clinic. And then often the next day we'll do another email just with a bit more follow-up information. Sometimes we will include some APRA compliant testimonials. We'll say things like, you might be wondering what people say about us, and then include a few testimonials. So we sort of do this, and then often we'll do a follow-up a few days later, just an SMS going, hey, are you still interested in this offer? And we can put in caveats along the way to say, check, have they booked online? Yes or no? And all we'd ask is that the reception team come in and just put a note, these people have booked, in which case they don't get any more correspondence in that stream, but they can still talk to them via SMS or email in the system. They can see any questions that people send back if they get the SMS and saying, hey, can you tell me how much this is? Or can you tell me I've got one of these problems with my, do you deal with anxious people? I haven't been to the dentist for 5 years. Any of those questions will come in and that will stop the workflow. And then we can just communicate with them like a normal person would. They can make calls from the system, which actually helps as well, because then the potential patient is just getting the one phone number. They've got the SMS from the one phone number. No staff members are going, oh, I'm using my phone for voicemail messages. Oh, I'm using the office phone for calling. I'm using my mobile phone for SMS. It's all in the one system. Then if someone's sick for the day, if I'm sick, Julie can look at the whole history. They can listen to any phone calls to hear what's heard, be fully up to speed on the whole thing.
And so the practice gets a copy of or they are seeing in kind of live time all these communications moving through.
Yes,
and they can participate in the communication themselves.
Yep. I can give them as many logins as they want. Sometimes they want one, sometimes they want more. Sometimes they want some people to have access to the reporting, other people to have access to other things. That's fine. So we just give them the access that they need. I try to keep it to give them the least amount of access so they're not overwhelmed. Because if I give them access to everything before they need it, then it just can be overwhelming. So we try to give them a bit, and we give them some quick videos on, this is all you need to do. This is how you answer it, how you know a question's there. This is how you answer it. This is how you just put a note that they've booked online.
That's fantastic. And when we're talking about getting leads, contacting your practice in any way, one of the challenges that we have is we want to have that patient recognise that we're more delightful than anybody else. And it's very difficult to do that with just the written word. And when you can send an actual voicemail across and actually hear how friendly and delightful their person is, that's really sticky. I like that.
Yeah, I love that. That was one of the reasons why I first went with this system, and then I just fell more and more in love with it. But then that's the other thing. I know some people who do these sorts of lead generation for dental, they will put out the same ads for every practice that they work with. Same images, same stock images. Now, stock images do not convert nearly as well as images of the actual practice. So,
hey, amen. Say that again.
Yeah. And I also love images that are just images and not branded. We sometimes experiment and test, but unbranded images usually work better in terms of both organic social and paid social, because if we think about how people use social media, they usually pick up their phone and they scroll through their newsfeed, and they're looking for content from friends and family. So if we have photographs or videos that are slightly imperfect and not fully, airbrushed and all that sort of thing, it looks like real people, and we're more likely to hack our way into the newsfeed using that than something that's heavily branded with logos and all that sort of stuff. So I know a lot of business owners like to feel like they're professional and put everything out with branding, but actually I veer away from that.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think when the risk that we run when we are using particularly stock photos, where you see the same photos come up over and again with different dental practices, but when you use stock photos and possibly with a branding one too, where you're not quite sure, are these the real people? Are these the before and after pictures of the real patients as well? And when I say real people, are these the actual team members I'm going to see when I come in there? One of the things that I feel like we need to build up 3 things with trying to convert a patient into our actual appointment book. Number 1, trust. Number 2, authority. Number 3, likability. So they're going to trust in us if we are very open with our communications and messaging to them. And the minute we've got stock photos up there, it feels like there's a veil there, that you're not quite getting the real guts of who these people are. And so I love that thought around having those imperfect images so you can appear more authentic.
Yeah, I've tested it. I've tested it with one of the first dental practices I worked with here in Canberra was very new, and they had their main practitioner was a Indian woman. So we only had 1 or 2 photographs. She was very camera shy. And we had a terrible grainy photograph from the Canberra Times that we used to use. And I tried competing it with other images that I found online that were stock images that I paid for that were of Indian dental or Indian medical looking women, because I didn't want to put up the image of a Caucasian male and have them go in, that's misrepresenting to me. So I try to find images that were as non-stock looking as possible, as realistic, as close to the real thing as possible. And even those didn't do as well in terms of being, the engagement and what people liked. They just preferred the crappy photograph of the real people over anything that was stocky.
That's interesting, isn't it?
It is. And people can be so particular. When I've worked with hospitality businesses and I've put up stock images of coffee or little videos of people pouring coffee that are stock videos, they will get customers saying, we know that's not your cups. And then they feed it back to me, Cate, you've put some stuff up there and it's not our cups, and our customers know. So whether we're getting feedback as a dental practice or not, people are observant and they'll go, we know that's not yours. We know that's not yours. And we don't want to lose trust even with our existing patients, who are the ones who are going, I can see that's not the clinic that I go into unless they've had a massive makeover. So we want to have that trust that is real.
Yeah. And, you're talking about when we've got new patients coming into the practice, what we want to do is try to, at the very least, meet their expectations, hopefully surpass those expectations. However, what are those patient expectations? They can be wildly varied from person to person. So what we need to do is set those expectations for them and adjust whatever's going on in their brain to say, no, this is what your experience is going to be like with us. And so do be as truthful and authentic as possible, because that can break trust quite quickly. Like if you're saying, we're one of the friendliest practices on the face of the earth, and you ring up and you've got this rude receptionist on the phone, breaks trust straight away. But so too, these are the dentists that you're going to be seeing when you walk in. You walk in and you're saying that when you're putting photos up saying, come and see our practice, and you've got stock photos of people up there, you're telling people this is what they're going to see. And when they turn up and they don't see it, that's breaking trust that little bit, just that little bit. And why on earth would you try to do that? And so that's a really good thing. You don't have to get a photographer to come in and get all the professional stuff done. Just put your lovely smiling faces up there and then be those lovely smiling people when people come in.
Just get pictures of the team, get them to pretend to be a patient. They can tell if they're in uniform that they're pretending to be a patient, but get someone to pretend, sit in the chair and point at a tooth. Like, we don't need photographs that we would be used to as dental clinicians. We don't need photographs of teeth or people lying back with the light over their head, because we don't want real reminders that realistically we're going to go in there and someone's going to mess in our mouth, which we don't, most of us, let's face it, we don't think of it as a pleasurable experience. But what we do want is to remind them that we're a caring team, or that we're fun, or whatever our values are, and to give them photographs of what things look like there. In fact, one of the best videos you can have, particularly on your website, is to just stand out the front of your clinic with a phone and just go, I'm standing out the front of, whatever the clinic name is, and you can see we've got parking here. And then turn around and go, I'm just going to go in the front, open the front doors, and here's Julie on reception. Hi, Julie. Now we're just going to go down the back and have a look at one of our clinic rooms, maybe give them a quick look at the waiting area. This is our lovely waiting area. We love this sort of stuff. Here's one of our rooms and one of our team members in the room. Hi, so-and-so. The thing this does is it breaks down all these micro fears that people actually have but don't articulate. Because if I'm thinking about going to a new location, a new retail store, a new dental practice, I have all these little fears in my head that are things like, well, how am I going to get there? I could set the GPS and that will tell me where to get there, but how am I going to park? Where's the nearest parking? And now that I'm there, I could end up standing out the front going, oh, which building is it? Whereabouts is the clinic? I'm standing in the street looking like a complete idiot, thinking, oh no, everyone thinks I'm an idiot. So there's all of these little micro fears, and this little video just gets over all of that. We feel like we've been there before we've been there. We feel like we've met the team. And really, the best marketing in the world, I think, it helps people to be able to call and say, I feel like I knew you before I picked up the phone.
Exactly. We just want that familiarity and likability happening as early as possible. And I completely agree with you. Every single time I see a video of a dental group doing some sort of homemade video of, very quickly, this is what your experience is going to be with us, or very quickly, this is a tour of the practice, for example, I encourage every time I see one of those, I think it's brilliant. It's giving me so much more information that I didn't realize I needed to know. And I encourage people out there to seek out those videos, have a look for yourself and feel what it feels like as a potential patient before walking into that practice or booking an appointment time. Feel what that does for you. And hopefully that's enough to encourage you to go down the path and get some of those little videos happening. And I want to step back a little bit because I've been recently going nuts in my brain around funnels, and, we've got the marketing funnel, which is all your awareness stuff going out there to the market. And then one of the elements that's really exciting to me is that, we're moving from the marketing funnel, and everyone coming through the marketing funnel then enters into your sales funnel, or the term I use for dental, because it's a far more industry-friendly term and accurate too, I think, is the patient engagement funnel. So sales indicates, all sorts of baggage that we've got in our brain around the word sales, but engagement, that's all we want to do. We want to engage the patient in what's going on in their mouth, in the solutions that are out there to help them have a mouth that feels good, looks good, functions well, gives them lots of peace of mind. And they then make all the decisions about what's good for them. And when we're talking about that patient engagement funnel, those steps that you're talking about, they get a voicemail straight away, then they get an SMS, then they get an email. And these emails, magnificent as well, because the amount of information you can include in an email, links to the Google reviews, links to this and that and the website and da-da-da, and you can have a picture of the team and all these wonderful things in these emails. But if you send the email without the additional communications and they don't expect the email, because what's the open rate for emails if you're not expecting one? It's very, very low.
Yeah. Plus, a lot of leads come in out of hours. The majority do. So they come in at stupid o'clock. And then if we don't send them an SMS immediately or some sort of thing that they can refer back to, they forget they've done it. And then they see the email the following day. I never got into that. I don't know what they're doing, emailing me.
Yeah, that's it. And so to be out, people, you're right, because people do want to get that when they're ready for the information, they want it instantly. And just look at our own human behavior when we do that. If we go to a website for information, it doesn't give it to us quickly enough, we'll just go to another website and try to find the information there. And having this kind of automated way of connecting, but with great rapport as well. Sometimes we think that the conversion of our marketing results into the appointment book, that's just one phone call for the receptionist. No, it can be multi-step, and there's going to be an ideal number of steps with the ideal amount of content delivered in a lovely way that's going to increase your effectiveness enormously, so you actually have a proper patient engagement funnel going on rather than just relying on that person calling up and having in the office hours, during office hours, and expecting that receptionist to magically convert them no matter what's going on around her.
Yep. And there's this interesting sort of balancing act as well, because I know from talking to practice managers who've worked with other lead generation specialists, one of them in particular was saying, oh, this person really put a lot of pressure on us. We had to have an extra mobile phone. We all had to be on call and we had to take those calls 24/7. And she said what she found was, so when the leads come in at 11 o'clock at night, she had to call them immediately. Stupid o'clock, overnight. And what she found was when she called them, yes, she got a higher answer rate. But the weird thing was the leads are going, what are you doing calling me at 11 o'clock at night? Why are you calling me at 5 o'clock in the morning? But when we drop a voicemail, that's a bit different because we're not actually calling them in the same way. So those that don't have voicemail won't get the voicemail, but they will get the SMS. So we kind of cover it with those things. But yeah, I love this whole voicemail thing because hearing the tone of someone's voice, that is very similar to meeting them. It's the next best thing to video, but we can send it out. We could send out a little video, but then, that can lose quality. So sending an SMS is great. Sending a voicemail is great.
I love it. I love it. It's just magnificent. And what's the value of, what have you noticed with the social posting and things of the before and after pictures? I'm in a bit of two minds about it because there are some before and after pictures where it's just a really ugly looking mess of dental conditions going on in a mouth, and you're like, ooh, I don't want to look at that. I like looking at the pretty photos, but the ones that aren't that great. But I'm imagining that seeing the difference between before and after, that can really build authority in that particular cosmetic area.
It can. I think the ones that, when we've done some testing, the ones that do the best are and the ones that you can do on ads as well. We have to make sure they don't look airbrushed and things, and they're just better off if they're either a whole photograph of just their face smiling without the gadgetry to pull their teeth back. I know for dental that's going to give you a better idea, but it just looks so unattractive. We're just better off having two photographs next to each other, both of Cate smiling, one showing, her teeth being cracked or a big gap or something, and then showing that it's after. So usually with those sorts of images, the person after, their smile is so much more radiant because they feel confident about themselves. The before, they're doing a smile, and it might be a genuine smile, but they are usually the sort of people who want to smile with their hand in front of their mouth. Like my mum, for years, she just wants to smile with her lips together or her hand in front of her mouth because she's embarrassed about her teeth being crooked. They're not the worst teeth in the world, but, it's a thing for her. And so she wants to smile with their lips apart with their hand in front of it. So the after smile is usually genuine, you know. But yeah, I don't like the ones where we've got those, you know,
The retractors in
the
place.
retractors, and I know from a clinical perspective, or if we're posting in some of the Facebook groups for clinical around, you know, look, can someone give me help with this, or this is, you know, what I did clinically. That's a whole different ballgame. But for the general public, like I say, we want to think that the dentist is going to be a pleasant experience, or that the outcome is what we're selling. It's kind of like going to the gym or dog training. Okay, so going to the gym, we don't sell people, you know, someone yelling at me sweating, feeling uncomfortable, having post-gym pain, aches and pains. We sell the outcome, which is having more energy, feeling better about myself, being healthier, maybe losing weight, maybe bulking up. Same with dog training. We sell dog training, whereas the majority of dog training is we are training the people how to elicit the behavior they want from their dogs. You know, you look at Graham Hall on dogs behaving very badly, and he goes in and he assesses the home environment, what behaviours are kind of triggering or worsening the dog's behaviours, and then what behaviours they have to exhibit to make the dog's behaviour different. So it's usually about training a person, but you can't sell dog psychology. You know, well, you can, but it's harder. No one wants to learn dog psychology, learn how to train your dog. It's like, teach the dog. Barkbusters is all around this, right? I've got a problem dog. Barkbusters comes in and they do what Graham Hall does. They just assess the situation and teach you some skills so that you can change the behaviour. And then they come back and say, you know, how's it gone? Have you been consistent with that behaviour? But people go, oh, my dog needs fixing. So it's the same with dental. We want great teeth. We want to look great. We don't want to be in pain. But we don't want to see the nuts and bolts of retracted mouths, or even we can get away with lying back and having the light over our head, but even that's probably as much as I want to do.
Yeah, I like that analogy that you've got, especially with the personal training, because we do sell the fit, lean, attractive body. We can't sell struggling on the chest press machine, you know, and then the pain after that. That's not going to sell it, is it? And so the same is true for dental as well. Sometimes we are, you know, saying, oh, you know, look at the patient in the chair with the mouth mirror and the drill going on in there. That will more than likely tap into memories of discomfort, vulnerability, all the other things that people have around attending to the dentist. And so you're better off doing that. This is the end picture. This is what we're trying to sell. This is where you want to be. And if you want to be there, then come on in and we'll help get you there. That's really good. With the APRA testimonials, you were saying earlier about APRA kind of approved within their guidelines testimonials. We can't make assurances to dental patients around their dental treatment that if this patient got it, you can get it too. But that's just one element of the experience that we give patients, isn't it? So if we're doing our job of saying we're an authority in the field, we are dental, this is an area of expertise that we have here, but the testimonials are all about how the team actually make you feel. That's completely appropriate, isn't it?
It is. It is appropriate. And not only that, it's actually perfect, because people might think they are looking for a dentist for a checkup and clean, or they might think they're shopping around for the price of a crown. But what they're really wanting is someone that they can trust, that is friendly, that is going to listen to them, that they can build a relationship with. Right? So those sorts of testimonials are actually perfect, because they help overcome, again, some of those microfears. Reading that Cate thought, you know, this place was really friendly and it put them at ease, or they hadn't been to a dentist for 5 years and they went in and they, you know, were treated so well. All of these sorts of things makes me feel comfortable, makes me feel like I can trust these people, that they will look after me, that I won't be a number. They will look after me. And even if I need something that might be a bit uncomfortable, they will care and they will look after me. So having testimonials saying that you're caring or friendly or relaxed or whatever it is that your values are. I mean, some people, I have had one dentist that I worked with a number of years ago. She said, Cate, you keep telling me my social posts should be a bit more funny, but we're not funny.
She said, we don't find anything funny. This is very serious business.
She said, we're caring. So she valued caring, and she said, if we put out stuff saying we're funny, then our patients will come in and say, this doesn't feel like you. we're caring, we don't, and so she felt like humour was lower on her values than caring. And so I just went, okay, that's fine. We don't want to make you appear to be something you're not. So this is where coming back to, what are your values? What's your culture? What is it that makes you different or that you stand out from? Can be as quirky or as little as any of those things. Maybe you are a fun team. Maybe you do have a sense of humour. Let's show that. Maybe you do give certificates to kids who come in, or maybe you do dress up with, crazy things, or have one of those dinosaur chairs. Whatever it is, let's show those things that make you uniquely you. Because this is the other thing with dental, I find, is that a lot of it can seem very bland. A lot of websites can seem samey, similar colours, similar look and feel. Like, yes, there is kind of a framework and a formula for a successful website or post or whatever, but we need to take that framework and personalize it to you as as your brand. I mean, your brand is your personality. That's what it is. So we need it to be personalized so that people can go, oh, I really like that. There's something different. But equally, the people who are not your tribe can go, you know what, that doesn't resonate with me. Because we want to have that differentiation at that point. We don't want them in the chair going, you know what, I really wish I hadn't come in here and I'm never coming back again. We don't want that. We don't want one-off people. We want people to be...
We want the filtering process to come way earlier than that.
Exactly. And the other thing is, I don't really believe in free for dental, offering free checkup and clean, or a race to the bottom. Is this the cheapest dental in Canberra? I've done that with someone who really wanted that positioning, and I kept trying to coach them out of it. And I just don't believe that really leads to the high quality patients that we want. Because generally when we're a private practice, rather than one of the big chains, one of the things that we offer is great value and great care, and our appointments aren't 10 minutes long. You're not in and out in the blink of an eye. So let's position you with the quality and the value and the relationships that you bring to this.
Yeah, and I think that's true. It's a very difficult space to be in when we're discounting, and I think a lot of practices, it's worth their while speaking to their accountants about the financial implications of discounting and how much harder you have to work than to kind of chase your own tail around. And it is often that race to the bottom. Someone else is always going to come in and undercut you if they're of the same mindset as well, and that will be a cause of frustration for you. But especially now when we're talking about, and you've probably heard around this, it's not just in dental either, it's in other industries as well, the availability of staff to come and fulfill roles is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and everyone seems to be struggling with this. This is not the time to be reducing down your turnover when you may have to start, because it's this basic economics. When demand is high and supply is low, prices go up. So it's going to cost more money for the practice to be able to employ their team members, quite possibly moving forward into the future. This is not the time to be discounting and reducing down that turnover and reducing down your ability to be competitive in the market for your dental team members. And it's, I've seen myself as a consultant as well going into, there was one practice that's in my mind years ago. I worked with this practice, and they were doing heavily discounted recalls to attract new patients, and they were pre-booking those patients for in another 6 months for their next recall. And the next recall, the patients that were booked in, most of them end up cancelling because they ring them up to confirm the appointment time, and the first question that they were asked was, what's this month's special deal? And when there was no special deal anymore, they said, oh, no, I'm not interested to come back anymore. And so recognise, we're talking before about setting the appropriate expectations in our patients. So when they come in, we can either meet or surpass those expectations. What we're doing when we're discounting is setting the expectation that prices are variable and there may be special offers on all the time. And when they realise that, no, once you're a patient, we just charge you full price, maybe they're not so happy with that. And we want to be able to bring people in who've got the expectation of, I want to be treated in a fair way, a gentle way, a friendly way. I want to enjoy my visit here. And that's where you can consistently deliver on that going into the future. And they're not just some short-term, one appointment time kind of new patient coming in.
Sometimes we need to have a new patient incentive, but we have to make sure that it's high value to the potential patient, but good sense for the business. We don't want to be giving away the whole town. We don't want to be offering half price. I know I worked recently, one of the people that I'm working with at the moment, they were encouraged, they worked with another agency who encouraged them strongly to say, okay, for veneers and implants, we want you to offer a free 15-minute consult. And they said, we'll give you a month of free advertising and you just pay the ad spend and we'll bring in all these leads. So they brought in all these leads and they got all of these tire kickers in there, all of these people having free 15-minute consults that they expanded out because while I'm here, could you tell me about the pain here? And while I'm here, could you, so they pushed the boundaries and they said at the end of the day, they did this 1 month test. It actually went for about 5 or 6 weeks. At the end of the day, they got 2 very small customers out of it. And I said to them, okay, how about we'll do a test. We'll do a test for a month. And we'll do it differently. So we'll charge people for a consult. What's your normal consult rate? Okay, we normally charge them this much for a 15-minute consult. Let's give them a reduced consult rate, but they're still paying for it. So we might give them 25% off consult, their initial consult for that, but they're still paying for it. You will get less people coming in for the appointment, but you will get a much higher conversion rate. Like really, most business owners will go, do I want to do, say, 1,000 free consults and get 2 small customers, or do I want to do 100 consults that are paid a little tiny bit less, but we're more likely to get higher quality people. So we've spent less time wasting time, we've been paid for our time, and we've got higher conversions. Because people just don't value free. You hear that all the time, and it's so true. If you've ever experimented with it in just about any industry, people don't value free. They're more likely to cancel appointments, no shows, they just blow it off. Or if they come in, they go, oh, well, this is a free appointment. Why isn't the rest of my dental covered under Medicare?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And it's another filtration system, isn't it? And you don't have to you can make the consultation fee very affordable and not a barrier to people booking in, but you are filtering some of the ones that may just be tire kickers and very early in their search process and they haven't even determined whether they're actually going ahead with this kind of treatment or not. They're just randomly wondering. It's getting rid of those ones. And so it is very disheartening. I'm being somebody, a consultant who's always for the past decade been promoting my own services out there. It's very disheartening to put something out there and have many, many people jump on board, but nobody converts. Only very few convert. It's a wildly different energy to it when you've got something that you're excited to get up in the morning and work on with these clients because it's priced well. You've got much higher conversion rate and you're not wasting time on so many discussions. And I think that's worth considering as well, that we've got dental team members that can become fatigued with doing all the hard yards and they never get the results.
Well, I was just going to say it actually became quite divisive in the practice because 1 or 2 of the dentists started going, right, I'm not taking any more of those. I don't really care. I'm not going to do it. As you mentioned before, we've got to look after our staff. We've got good staff. We want to look after them because getting another one, it's not like we can just pick someone up and put them down. Not that we should be treating people like that. But so it was very divisive. Most of the admin team were not happy about it either. The business owner hadn't been seeing these people and they were still quite keen on going with that process and quite keen to sign up for the paid version of it. But the rest of the practice is going, no, we've got to be able to do this better. This is not okay. We're not happy. These people are not the people we want to attract. We're wasting all this time. We have to answer the phone at ridiculous o'clock. The whole thing was just, very divisive.
Yeah. So when dental practices want to adopt your services, do you provide them guidance of the kind of content to put out there on social media, I imagine?
Sure. I mean, look, sometimes we do create content for them. We usually recommend having a batch of photographs and things, real photographs. So, as I said, we can do stock photos, but it's just the best ones are not stock photos. So we can do that. But, yes, we can give them advice on that. We also often give them advice on things like, I remember one dentist came to me and said, he wanted to do some stuff. And I said, okay, just looking at your site, if we try to get people to book online, you've got about 100 options there on your booking system. People really shouldn't be booking in for their own crowns and all of these other things. That's overwhelming, and I really think you need to pull back on that so that some of your appointments just set it in-house and we only have a small number here. So maybe we have new patient or existing patient checkup and clean, new patient checkup and clean, a couple of others. If we have a special offer that is something, we can ask them to book one of those, but we don't want them having to scroll through. I mean, really, you must have had at least 50 options there. It was crazy. So we will do things like...
It feels like a self-service checkout. We're all of a sudden asking the patrons to be doing the work of the receptionist, the patrons to do the work of the receptionist.
They were very new, and we had to do a lot of coaching with them, with the leads, about how to handle them, how to handle price shoppers. Because we don't want to, if someone SMSs you or someone messages you on Facebook, how much for a crown, we don't want to be going back and saying, oh, it's between this and this. We don't want to be doing that. We want to be going back and saying, well, there's a number of variables. What we'd like to do is, if you can give me your phone number, we'll give you a call to discuss your unique situation. Okay? And then we start a conversation that is not around, hey, Julie, you asked me about prices, it's between this and this much. It's like, tell me about your situation. Okay? And we start trying to get a conversation around the value that we bring and why it's not a good idea to price shop, because a crown is not a crown is not a crown. It's like saying, how much do you charge for a car? Well, Nissan is going to be different to Chery, is going to be different to Subaru. And then we've got things like Porsche. Like, we can't really just shop around and go, I found the cheapest car. Yeah, you.
Yeah. And the thing is that the only reason why, not the only reason, people are asking the price question for very good reasons. Number one, can I even afford it? You know, I'm searching around. I feel like I'm being ripped off with the first quote that I got. I'm just trying to get a gauge of that. But number two, because they don't have enough information, experience, knowledge about dental to ask any other questions. And so if we can extrapolate that conversation out there, that patient engagement funnel that we were just talking about earlier, if we can put the stuff in that, populate that funnel with all the other requirements that we actually subconsciously have as patients, I'm going to be treated well. They're so super friendly. I feel delighted with the process so far. Our own experience and seeing the experiences of other people in other industries, we rarely choose the lowest price knowing that we're not going to be having a fantastic experience. We're always happy to pay a little bit higher price because I actually want that experience that's just been intimated to me that that's what's going to go on for me when I turn up at that door on their doorstep. And so don't be shy about doing the quotation, but make sure it happens after you've delighted them with a communication, rapport building, a few of those communications that you were talking about.
It's about, people are really looking for value, and so they start off price shopping because they think that's the only way to compare value, but they don't understand all the other stuff. And really, we don't necessarily have to sell them into getting a crown here. What we really need to do is give them enough information that they trust us enough to come in and let us have a look at it and look at what the options are, because you may or may not need a crown. There might be other options or alternatives to us. If your budget doesn't run to this, we might have payment options. We might have different solutions that could, it doesn't always mean you have to have a crown. There's often more than one option. It's just that someone may have said the crown was the best option, and that may be. But maybe they didn't know that you could often get dental finance. Like, most places will offer some sort of payment plan. So once we can start having that, oh, okay, so these guys haven't given me a price, but they've got a payment plan, so I'm kind of covered. And they're going to give me, I can go in for a checkup and clean, which I need anyway. And then if I don't like what they say, that's okay. But by the time they come in and experience us, chances are they're going to feel that they trust us, because, let's face it, there's an expression about the better the devil you know. And a lot of us put up with people and services that we're not happy with long after we should do, because it's the devil we know. And the pain of moving services feels too much. But once they actually come in and experience you, chances are they'll go, you know what, these people were so friendly, they're caring, they're gentle, they really looked after me.
And I think one of the additional benefits of adopting services such as Sane social media and yourself, Cate, is it gives the dental practice a different perspective, an experienced eye in that space. So we're not just trying to make up what we think is the right path ourselves, that we've got somebody who's in the industry and thinking about all of this stuff from a patient perspective, the market perspective. And so all of a sudden, you used the word elegant before, you've got an elegant strategy now. And I love that word elegant. It's such a beautiful word. You've got a far more elegant and well thought out process for this. And so I think it's fantastic. If people wanted to tap into your services, how do they do it, and what does that little journey look like for them?
So they can go to sanesocialmedia.com, which is SANE socialmedia.com. There are various different ways to contact me. On there, you'll find my phone number. There is also a place where you can book in for a 15-minute free consult to see if we're a good fit, because just like anything else, I agree with, are we a good fit? Do we work well? Have we got the right assets? How can we help you? Because I really do more tailored programs based on each individual business's online assets, budget, team. What have we got to work with, and what's going to be the best outcome for you?
I love it. And, I really do encourage people to look in this space. It's certainly been my experience at the moment. Myself and my buddy Amina, we've got a dental practice management program, 1-year online program that we've been heavily promoting over the last few weeks for this current year's enrollment. And I'm impressed with the impact that the social media posting and boosting and things like that has had on our enrollments, and how the activity on their website spikes every time we are out there appearing on people's feed kind of organically. So I think, and it's really had me thinking, do I need to even worry about SEO and AdWords? We don't have to worry about that just now. Let's just concentrate on the social media side, because we're seeing proof in the pudding that it's actually working, and it can. You've just said it absolutely works in getting leads into your appointment book for dental practices as well.
It does. We just have to make sure that what we're doing is smart. So, for example, some people will say, we'll run ads to get your phone ringing. Yes, we can do that, but your phone's going to ring out of hours, mostly. Have you got answering service? Even if you have, let's face it, how many people are going to leave a message? So I might say, I'm sending you phone calls at 50 cents each, but they're not leaving messages, and we have no way of retracing them or finding them because we haven't got their contact details. So let's be smart about using our assets wisely. Do we need this? Do we need that? Do we need landing pages and full funnels? Or let's just test a simple version and work out if we need all that stuff later. Like, what's the shortest distance between here and here, given the assets you've got? Let's make it easy. Let's make it simple for everyone. Let's not build an overhead that people have to spend a lot of time and energy answering calls at crazy times.
I agree. Fantastic. This has been such an interesting conversation, Cate. And as I say, in my world, so timely. It's been right on point. So it's thrilled me to bits. So thank you so much for your time. I'd love to have you back on as a guest again in the future so we can continue talking about how to make social media work for your practice.
Great. I would love to come back. I have a lot of things that I can happily share with people. So I'd love to have the opportunity. And thanks for the opportunity today. It's been amazing.
Fantastic. Thank you, Cate. I do encourage all the dental practices out there who are intrigued about the power of social media and how that can assist your dental practice in being very, very successful. Reach out to Cate, sanesocialmedia.com, SANE, sanesocialmedia.com, and just have that 15-minute discussion with her so you can get a sense of what she can do for your dental practice. I look forward to speaking with you next time. If you enjoyed today's podcast, then you should come along and join the club. The club is a whole library of lunch and learns with new lunch and learns being produced all the time that help your dental team gain greater success in your systems, in your team behaviours, in your patient management, in your patient engagement, in their treatment plans. They are usually around half an hour in length, and so team members can sit down, be paid for their lunch break, eat lunch while they're being inspired and delivered all of these insights and strategies that can be implemented so you all achieve greater levels of success. Also, Amina and I, my buddy from Dental Management Expertise, have a company, Dental Business Mastery, together. And our flagship online 1-year course for dental practice managers and dental practice owners to learn how to very successfully manage your dental practice is available. Head over to dentalbusinessmastery.com.au to find out more information, and has information about any other courses that we've got available. Also, make sure you do jump onto my website, julieparkerpracticesuccess.com.au, and you will see a whole load of free information. There are articles, the blog, downloads, templates, a whole load of things that are designed to help you overcome any specific challenge that you've got going on in your practice at the moment. If you have any suggestions of topics or guests that I can have on the podcast, please let me know. Thanks for listening.